Good Tuesday morning. My biggest fear came to reality last night in this Knicks Heat series that the Knicks don't have a shot. They don't have a shot to beat Miami. They're not going to come back. The series is over. Miami, even though this game was closer than Game 3, dominated throughout the entire night. Every time the Knicks got close, Miami had an answer. It felt like they didn't miss a three the entire night. I know they did. It felt like they didn't, whether it was Kevin Love or Caleb Martin or Vincent or Jimmy Butler or whomever, Bam Adebayo jamming it in everybody's face. Then you get Julius Randle doing his classic vintage Julius Randle in a big spot game, running around, offensive fouls, air balls, arguing with the officials. Then in the fourth quarter, they basically tapped out. They didn't get an offensive rebound. They got pushed around. They were lazy on defense. The Heat just grinded them right out of the game. Now they're down 3-1. I'd be shocked if they won on Wednesday night to keep this series going. That's how bad it's been. Outside of the last 6 minutes in Game 2 without Jimmy Butler, Miami has made fools of the Knicks. Fools of them. And talk of this team being like the 90s Knicks and blah, blah, blah. It's the greatest thing we've ever seen. It's a joke right now. The 90s Knicks are probably sick to their stomachs watching this garbage as Miami, one of the big rivals the Knicks have had over the last several decades, is kicking their ass on national television every single game. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, Jay. I don't know what I could say to follow up that opening by you, and I know we're all disgusted by it, and I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Julius Randle, but I will say this. The Knicks, in my eyes, lost this game in the second quarter. They lost this game in the second quarter because they have no bench. Their bench has been such an important part of who they are as a team throughout the year, and when they came off the bench to start the second quarter or whenever Tibbs wanted to make the changes, all of a sudden things would happen. Things would, start, moving in the right direction for the Knicks. And when you take a look at the second quarter and you take a look at when Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are sitting on the bench and Obi Toppin comes in and Miles McBride comes in and Hartenstein comes in, this is where, to me, the Knicks are getting completely outplayed. I know when we look at Julius Randle and some of the mind-numbing things he does in a game, the air balls, and Obi Toppin had another air ball last night, and I did put out on Twitter during the game, I swear to God, the Knicks lead the league in air balls. I've never seen so many. It's like the gang that can't shoot straight, you know what I mean? So that was a 1-point first quarter, and it was a high-scoring first quarter, and then all of a sudden the second quarter comes, and the Knicks can't do anything. I mean, it was a grind to score, and they lose that second quarter significantly. And then they're trying to battle back the whole game. And every time, and this is where you were talking about it, every time it seemed like the Knicks got within 5 or 6, Miami would come down and somebody would make a shot. Somebody would be able to shake loose. And the one thing about Miami is they do move on offense. There is no question about that, and they do find the open man. And I think about, R.J. Barrett has a rebound, late in the game, and he comes down with this defensive rebound, and he steps out of bounds. I mean, there have been a number of plays like that. And I don't know how many times on offense the Knicks player has to make some sort of acrobatic move in order to get a shot off because they're playing, I think, a little bit too much one-on-one. But I know that there are going to be a lot of people disgusted with Julius Randle, but I'm just telling you, the second wave of players that come off the bench, have been getting outplayed in this series significantly, and that was with initially a slumping Emmanuel Quickly leading that group.
Sure.
And now, Obi Toppin comes out yesterday, throws up essentially 2 air ball, an air ball and a brick.
Yep.
And Tom Thibodeau says, no, you're out. Get over here. You're going to sit down. You're done. I appreciate that, and I wish that Obi Toppin would think more. When he's playing as opposed to just going up there hoisting shots. And even though that first 3-point attempt by him, he was wide open and they'll tell you to take that shot. I mean, he missed that thing by 3 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his game. He checks into the game. He thinks he's going to help out offensively. He hurls that up. It's not even close. And you're right about, the Knicks on the offensive end. Ian Eagle said it last night. He goes, it looks like it's effortless for Miami on offense, and it's the exact opposite for the Knicks on offense. And they're either clanging these threes where they're not even open, off the back of the rim, the air balls that you talked about, or they're getting into the paint and not being able to finish half the time. when they need to get on a run, when they need to get back in the game. And Julius Randle out of control, offensive foul. You get into the paint. Mitchell Robinson, R.J. Barrett gets to the bucket. He can't finish. And then, on the other end, it's the extra pass. It's the calmness. It was almost like Miami was out there going, like, we know we're going to win this game. All we have to do is just do what we do. And the confidence that they have in finding the extra guy and then just, hitting those threes. I mean, it's incredible. And, oh, by the way, like, when is the adjustment going to be made on the Kevin Love outlet pass, football pass, the Hail Mary down the court? He's done that every single game.
Well,
this
is what happens.
Worked.
This is what happens when you shoot, you stand around and you watch and you don't move. But I go back to the second quarter, and I know, look, we all see the game a little bit differently. We all have our, slings and arrows to be shooting at certain different guys on the team, whether or not, also the coach, by the way, who's getting completely dominated by Eric Spoelstra.
Yep.
I mean, you take a look at that lineup that Miami sends out there, and then, Jaylen Brunson had a 32, 11 assist, and 1 turnover game. That's an unbelievable game by a point guard.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want from him. And he's working his ass off. And, he's not healthy. His ankles are killing him. And it's the other thing I would say about Jimmy Butler. He's not 100% either. I mean, there are a couple times last night where guys blew right by him. And I would just keep doing that. I would just keep going at him. I feel like the Miami Heat are making Jalen Brunson work really, really hard. And, he's up to the task. He's doing it, But then again, you get into these moments where it's like a little 3-minute moment where all of a sudden the Knicks come down and somebody's either hoisting up an ill-advised three, somebody's taking an offensive foul, Julius Randle, somebody's turning the ball over, R.J. Barrett, and then all of a sudden Miami gets the ball back, they go back, and there's a wide-open three that's made.
Yep.
And I have to also say that Bam Adebayo is owning Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah,
he is.
And
Hartenstein. Stein.
Yeah. Hartenstein, yeah.
God.
So Mitchell Robinson after the game basically was like, I got to get my energy up, and talking about how, this is the want to and the desire is not there, and how he has to get his energy up in the game. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And if you look at some of these highlights back and the stuff that we saw last night, I mean, Mitchell Robinson just basically letting guys blow past him. And in the fourth quarter, that big Caleb Martin dunk.
Yeah.
If you watch Julius Randle on that, I mean, he closes out lazily. He lets Caleb Martin go right by him. They know exactly what they're doing. At that point, to me, he was checked out. The entire team was checked out, and here it is on CBS Sports Network. I mean, come on. I mean, that, and then Julius Randle puts his arms out as if it was somebody else's fault. Like he's expecting Mitchell Robinson to pick up the slack there when, I mean, my God, you're just standing there like a traffic cone. And it's always the turning around and somebody else's fault, and it's the ref or it's your teammate or it's this. I mean, I've been up and down with him because he's been an up and down player. But if this team is going to take the next step, he can't be a part of it. And you wanted him off the team prior to the playoffs, and I fought you on that. And now what I've seen here in these last couple of games, I'm with you. And I don't know how hurt he is. I don't even care. I really don't. He is a guy that just is not capable of performing in these moments. And then, afterwards, he's like, maybe the Heat wanted it more. I didn't even feel that way desire-wise until the fourth quarter. I really didn't. I thought that the energy was there. I thought that the want to was there. I thought the desire, all of that was there. Just Miami was better. And then by the fourth quarter, they got so frustrated, it's like they waved the white flag. That's what it felt like happened. It's like Miami was too good, and they got too frustrated, and then all of a sudden they weren't putting any effort in anemore. And Miami got how many offensive rebounds? 6 or 7 in the fourth quarter alone?
It's the second chance points. It's, that kind of stuff that we remember in the Cleveland series. We were talking about Josh Hart and Hartenstein and how they were able to keep the ball alive on offense.
Yeah.
And they would tip it to their teammates, and all of a sudden you'd have, extra passes, you'd have extra time of possession. Those things are big things in basketball. We don't talk about a lot of those things because we end up talking a lot about missed shots. We talk about offensive fouls. We talk about, free throw discrepancy or three-point shooting discrepancy. There's so many little things that go into playing great basketball, and one of those things is the offensive rebound, the offensive loose balls. Go get them, go tip them to your teammates, keep possession, have more passes. I mean, you think about Jimmy Butler. He's playing on a bad ankle, and he missed a game in this series, and that game almost was lost by the Knicks.
Well, it had a similar feel to last night.
Yes.
For 3.5 quarters. And then Jimmy Butler wasn't there, and the Knicks somehow found a way to win that game. But it was the same type of thing, where it was close, but Miami was hovering around, 7-point lead, 8-point lead, to get up to 11, and it'd be back to 7, and then maybe 5. But really, you never felt like the Knicks were making a threat until the last 6 minutes of game 2. And now, after that, think about what's happened after that. You got a blowout game, and then you get this game, which I think was even more frustrating because the Knicks had more opportunities. They were within striking distance, and they never were able to get there because of how relentless Miami is. They are totally relentless on both sides of the court, and it's as frustrating as anything to watch.
When you think about it, though, we're talking as if the Knicks lost by 30. They basically lost by 8 points.
Yeah, but
they could just and just like the game before, although the game before was a bigger discrepancy. Just like the game before is like Miami's always, like Ian said, always had an answer for when you felt like the Knicks were going to make a run. But I don't know. Jimmy Butler's a superstar. Jimmy Butler is a difference maker. Jimmy Butler is playing on one leg, and he's just an animal on the basketball court. I don't know how to explain it, but we don't see him all the time. And, we remember his days in Chicago, Minnesota, whatever. He didn't get along with Tibbs, whatever the hell the deal was. But this guy is like a man possessed.
Yeah, when
he's on the basketball court, he's like a man possessed.
And this is why Tom Thibodeau early on in his career loved Jimmy Butler as much as he did, and it ended weird. And I don't know what the hell is going on. Sometimes they love each other, sometimes they don't. I don't know. But this is why Tom Thibodeau loved him, absolutely loved him more than any other player that he had early on in his career because of how good he is defensively, how good he is offensively, how much he wants to win. I know he's had some issues and he's made some headlines, throughout his career. But that
right
on
a basketball court,
he's a winning player where the Knicks don't have enough of those guys.
You know what it is? It's his basketball IQ.
Yeah,
that separates him. Usually, that's what separates LeBron and Steph and all the truly great players. Michael Jordan, they see, it's like Mark Messier, he sees the ice a certain way. Michael Jordan would see the court a certain way, and here's a wing. I don't even know how to describe because he does so many things. He had 10 assists last night.
Yeah, that big block too, which was huge. I'm totally discouraged. I'm totally deflated.
I hear it in your voice.
You go from New York sports and everybody in the playoffs to basically the only team that's going to be surviving and playing games is the New Jersey Devils because, this series, I'm known for being the negative fan and why are you always so negative and this and that and whatever. I did think
why
that
are
the Knicks,
you always so negative?
Well, because my teams always let me down. That's why. There's always something that's going on that's going to – because I get excited about a team or whatever, and it's a 101 Mets season, and then they get their asses kicked by the Padres, and you see the Knicks are favored in the second round of the playoffs, and they're getting squashed. It's just like enough already. The Vikings have a 13-win season. They end up getting killed by the New York Giants and 2 players that I said shouldn't even be on the team coming into the season. It's just over and over again. So I'm just deflated. I'm deflated because I thought they were going to go to the conference final. And if they would have, lost this series in 7, which I guess still is a possibility, it doesn't feel like it. I feel a little bit better about them. Say Miami's tough and a great season, but I feel like they're going to lose in 5. I think they're going to lose. It doesn't feel like they can beat this team when Jimmy Butler's out there. It doesn't feel like they're capable. And I don't know what type of performance you're going to get in an elimination game from them. Is this going to be the Rangers Game 7 all over again? Or are they going to actually wake up and play well?
I got to tell you, I think they'll play tough at home. I do. Whether or not they're going to win, that's another story. With Emmanuel quickly out, even though he was slumping, he is like the Energizer Bunny when he comes on, and he can get hot, and he can, basically knock down 3 threes in a row, and then all of a sudden the place would explode. But that's not going to happen. So, when you take a look at what Obi Toppin did last night, McBride did last night, we can sit here and talk about Julius Randle all we want. I'm just telling you, they're getting beat off the bench.
You saw that graphic more than any last night on TNT was bench points. They put that up 1,000 times during the game.
It's obvious.
And right, it's of course. And
I mean, Jalen Brunson is playing his ass off.
No, I know.
And they're trying to make it hard on him,
Well, of course they are. That's what Spoelstra does. He's got that Bill Belichick type of thing. I'm going to take your best players out, and he's effective with it.
But he's not taking them out. That's the thing.
Yeah, but he's doing.
That's how I believe Jalen Brunson, how good he's playing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's just it's kind of scary that Jalen Brunson can put up a game like he did, and I think his numbers his numbers look better than the way I felt he played. To be honest with you, last night. I mean, and maybe it's just because I didn't feel like the Knicks ever had a shot in the game. Maybe that's why. But I mean,
maybe if somebody else would make a couple shots here or there, or not take offensive fouls by trying to bully their way to the.
They just don't have enough scoring. They do when Julius Randle is having the night that he's having. They don't have enough scoring.
I mean, he was having a decent night
in the beginning. And so I usually with Julius Randle, if he gets off to a bad start, he stays terrible. And I was like, if he gets off to a good start, gets in a rhythm, maybe he'll be a factor. And he did early on in the game, and then completely fell apart after that. He's just he is not for these moments. He is not. It's just we've seen it now too many times, and it's a shame. And I know that the Knicks and the organization and Tibbs loves him, and he's going to be a tough guy to unload in the offseason if they decide to go that way, which they probably won't. But, I mean, I've seen all I need to see with him. I have. I've seen all I need to see, and this is not just a one-game thing. This is a culmination of everything, and I know he's had his great moments, but this is just, I mean, a game like that, I mean, your season's on the line. You go down 3-1, your season is on the line last night, and that's what he gave you? That? I mean, how many times did he have an opportunity to, make his moment, to have that Nick moment, to have the whole fan base say, man, Julius Randle saved us. And instead, he's going down the lane, out of control, bowling guys over, offensive fouls, throwing up shots, missing them, defensive end, getting blown by guys like Caleb Martin who are dunking in his face. It's pathetic. It really is pathetic. And we wait so long for a Knicks team to be good, and everything that we talk about with the Knicks and the toughness and the this, and I wish it was Oakley and Mason and blah, 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 and everything else, and this is the reincarnation of those teams? No way. I mean, it's an insult to those teams that we're comparing this group to them, especially with Julius Randle. I mean, you can't come up any smaller as a star in the league, if you even want to call him that, in the postseason. I mean, he's basically making Donovan Mitchell's postseason series against the Knicks look good at this point. It's awful. Just absolutely awful. And, I mean, they better come out and win Game 5 and at least show some pride, because if they don't, then to me, I don't think they'll even do it. They probably won't even do anything in the offseason. They'll probably have a Brian Cashman offseason and think that they were the greatest team in the world and bring everybody back.
They're going to have to do something. The problem is, and you know this and I know this, is, okay, if you move on from Julius Randle, who are you replacing him with? Like, who is the guy that is going to be, the running buddy?
and that's something that the offseason will dictate. We'll figure it out, who's available, who's not. You go through the free agents, not a great free agent class. We know this. But to me, I mean, that who you replacing him with thing, it comes after you can't win with him. So now we've established you can't win with him, and then you figure out who the replacement is afterwards. Because if you stick with him, you're going to be in the same situation every single year, which is there's a ceiling. And when you hit that ceiling, you hit it hard. And just like the Knicks are doing here in this series. A series, by the way, they were favored in going into. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry's going to play all the highlights with a smile on his face, I'm sure, this morning, as he is loving every bit of this series as a Nets fan, I'm sure. Boomer's got something for you, and we will come right back right after this.